welcome. This is live. This is Sports Extravaganza. This is your coach on the technical bench. My name is Tony Kwalanda. We are live every Saturday from 4 p.m. all the way to 7 p.m. However, forgive us for starting the show a bit later on because we were at a very important function at the Ulinzi Sports Complex. It's nice to have you for the next about 40 or so minutes. I am joined by, of course, the excellencies on this show, and we have a great topic to discuss about in terms of the Europe Day Kenya Football Tournament. However, just before we get into the nitty-gritty of the show, I am joined on this great show by Her Excellency Henrietta Geiger, who is the European Union Ambassador to Kenya. Welcome. It's nice to see you again after 1 week. Thank you for enjoying Homa Bay. And also on her immediate right is His Excellency Martin Brewer, who is, of course, the Dutch Ambassador to Kenya. It's an honor to have you. And also on the extreme right of Brewer is His Excellency Pirkka Tapiola, who is the Finnish Ambassador to Kenya. I hope I said it well, Pirkka.
You said it well. I'm a bit worried when you put me to the extreme right, but that's fine. I mean,
He's not talking in football terms, yeah?
well, you know, the playing field is broad, huh?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, really for making time from your busy schedule. It's always an honor to have you here on Cape Media Limited. Of course, you know, it's the home of Radio 47 and also TV 47. Just before we get into the nitty-gritty, they also have messages of condolences to the late Chief of the Defense Forces of Kenya, who passed on, of course, from that particular honor they had at Ulinzi Stadium. We have the question of the day on this particular show. We always want you to win a lot of airtime, courtesy of Safaricom. I said it well, Your Excellency. I know you said Safaricom is your partner on this particular Europe Day. So I've been given plenty of airtime, plenty for you. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can continue. There are like 10 of them, and aren't you? 5 of you are going to win on this great show. Airtime worth about 500 Kenya shillings each of you on this great show. I want you to answer this very simple question you can never have on this earth. We're asking you, the Europe Day Kenya Football Tournament next heads to which county? We're asking you, the Europe Day Kenya Football Tournament next heads to which county in Kenya? You know the drill. You know our WhatsApp number. You know our SMS number. You know our phone call number. We shall be sharing, of course, below your screen right now. Send in that answer. You know how we start. Start with the name Sports Extravaganza, your name, where you're watching this particular show from. Give me the answer and convince me why you need Safaricom airtime. 500 Kenya shillings each. 5 of you on this show. Courtesy, of course, of the European Union delegation to Kenya. So start calling, start sending that message on WhatsApp as many times as you can. Plenty of prizes for you to win, not only on this show, but also during the tournament. Just before we get to the nitty-gritty of why our excellencies are here, I would like to allow, because Her Excellency Henrietta Geiger is just from Ulinzi Sports Complex, where we had that special ceremony for the late Chief of the Defense Forces. Your Excellency, your message of condolences, I'm sure you have shared this already to the nation, but of course on this show would love also for you to speak to the Kenyan people. Yeah, on behalf of the European Union, we want to express our deepest condolences to all Kenyans. It came to us as a deep shock, actually, what happened. This tragedy that took away not only the chief of the defense forces, but also many senior officers, brave men and women, in this terrible crash. And I was just in Ulinzi, and everybody was there. The president had very warm words. Several others spoke, including the son of the late general. And what he said is that the general was always very committed to young people. So I think this is, and Joel, the son, said, we have to continue the legacy. So be there for young people, empower young people,
And this is why we're here in the studio today. So to make the bridge from Ulinzi coming here is a good connection. And at the same, when I was sitting in Ulinzi, I thought, today we're doing the Requiem for the General. On 17th of May, we're doing our final football tournament for the Europe Day. So that's what life is. Good and bad is very close together.
Indeed. Ambassador Brewer, I mean, this CDF, of course, and amongst all the host of other those officers who passed on, and hearing, of course, from the mass, the son explaining how the CDF himself was such a jovial person, very, I'm sure maybe you've interacted with him, something that you remember about him.
Well, I have not interacted with him personally, but let me first of all say that we feel deep sympathy and condolences for the people of Kenya, but also for the family, friends, yes, of all those who passed away in the tragic accident, which is really a moment of sorrow. And I think there was a lot of dignity in the event this afternoon to really show also the respect for the work that the General has done. And I think that's a very good sign. A very important position, a very important person that needs the respect and that could only function if he got the respect of the people. And that was shown this afternoon. And I think that is a very important thing to note. I've, as I said, not met him personally, but what I just hear also about his son speaking about the youth, yes, it is very important to think across generations, and each generation has to fulfill its function. And this is a sad moment of saying goodbye to a person that was a leader of his generation, and the next generation now needs to stand up and build on everything that he has built and his colleagues. So again, condolences, and it was a big shock for us to learn about it, but that's not half of the shock that went through the country, and that is showing something about the importance of the late General.
Indeed. Ambassador Tapiola, I mean...
Well, a lot has already been said, and I fully subscribe to the words of my colleagues. I and many of our embassies, mine included, and residences are flying their flags half-mast in solidarity with the Kenyan people. Yes. But as Henrietta Geiger, as Ambassador Geiger said, it was not just the passing of one man, but 10 people. Yeah. And my thoughts and prayers are with the families who have lost a parent, a spouse, a child, a daughter, a son, and who will have to now look at their lives and build their lives without a very important person in their lives. And I'm thinking of those people, but as Henrietta said as well, it is important to look at the regeneration of life, look at sports, look at the young generation taking over and being empowered. And that's what today is about. But it will be difficult for these families maybe to look at that light which invariably will come, and my thoughts are very much with them.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Tapiola, Ambassador Brewer, of course, Ambassador Geiger, for your messages of condolences to our nation, Kenya, as well as to the people and families that are affected. Thank you very much. If you're joining us, this is Sports Extravaganza coming to you live from Cape Media, of course, here in the capital, Nairobi. Moving on. Just from the message, I know we're trying to shift from the message of condolences to the activity of the football.
Circle of life.
Yeah, it's the way of life. But we, of course, our thoughts and our prayers are with the families. Now, this past weekend, last weekend, the Excellency Ambassador Geiger, together with Her Excellency Gladys Wanga, were at the Raila Odinga Stadium in Homa Bay County for should be the second round of the Europe Day Kenya football tournament, whereby the preliminaries before the grand finale that will be held at the Ulinzi Sports Complex on the 17th of May. And we have, of course, a short clip of about 2 minutes to highlight how, and of course, review how the Homa Bay action was for the boys and girls under 18 tournament.
To be one of the 4 counties that is participating in the European Day football tournament. And I have watched our girls, and we're going to watch our boys, and I believe that we look set to come back with the trophy on 17th of May. So we are really also privileged to have the EU ambassador, Her Excellency Hembred, here with us to watch this. And this is not just a football tournament. I think it really is showing our young people, our young boys and girls, what the possibilities are. You know, what is open for them. They are just not local here in Homa Bay. There are possibilities all the way to Nairobi, but there are also possibilities all the way to Europe. I think it is opening up their mind and their eyes to these possibilities, and that's why I find this very, very important for us. So we've been discussing with the ambassador about the future of the young people as far as this tournament is concerned. I think the ambassador will speak to how far the EU wants to take this, whether it's annually or at whatever point. But for us, we are looking at scouting, you know, scouting here as we've done with our tournaments, and scouting in Nairobi, and looking out for our very best talent to join the local teams, but also to go out there internationally and to follow the Talanta Hela spirit, which is using talent to put money and sports to put money in the pockets of our young people. Thank you.
That was Her Excellency Gladys Wanga, Governor of Homa Bay County, speaking about the tournament. And Her Excellency will speak a bit later about the response. The Governor, of course, asked you the frequency of the tournament. However, I had there's a clip which Olivia and team had shared, also my good friend Machio, about the summary of how Homa Bay was this past weekend.
We want to empower young people in Kenya. And the energy that I see here is really boundless. So, all the best to you.
This is not just a football tournament. I think it really is showing our young people, our young boys and girls, what the possibilities are. You know, what is open for them. They are just not local here in Homa Bay. There are possibilities all the way to Nairobi, but there are also possibilities all the way to Europe. I think it is opening up their mind.
My dream is to play for Real Madrid, which this tournament, the scouts were coaching 1, 2, 3 players to go and play into Europe.
I want to say this is a big platform. The girls are ready, very ready to show their talents, very ready to compete with other counties, and ready even to make it up to the out of the country. We are ready for the European, and we are coming there.
Asante sana European Union kwa kutupea opportunities sisi kama magirls.
Ambassador Geiger, I'm sure it was very exhilarating, electrifying to sit amongst and swallow those noises at the Raila Odinga Stadium. Share your feeling interacting with those players firsthand.
First of all, the stadium is most impressive. I'm not sure whether anybody has been there, but you're overlooking Lake Victoria.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You're on the other side, you have the big mountains. It's just precious. And then you had the stadium packed with thousands of people. It was really an amazing, amazing event. The energy that you felt there, and the teams who were so determined to win, and all their supporters of the teams, all the teachers were there, and the teachers were rallying, the principals were rallying, and when I saw the teams getting ready to play, an amazing, I mean, they are really good. And of course, Gladys and them, they think they will win.
And they will
So
win.
very upbeat, very upbeat.
Ambassador Brewer, you can feel like the experience that Ambassador Geiger had. I mean, have you been to the lakeside or to Homa Bay? And are you looking forward to going to Kilifi or attending the one in Nairobi or the big one on the 17th of May? Of course, we'll be able to see you there.
Well, to tell you, yes, I was in Homa Bay last year, at the end of last year. And I was there for 4 days, I think, together with Gladys, so I know her quite well. And I had not been in that stadium, but in other parts, and it's really a beautiful county. Yeah. But we were there on the Independence Day, the celebrations over there. And I'd been here in Nairobi to do the celebrations of the Independence Day, but now to do it at the county level, that is really very nice. It's much more cozy. Yeah. And it was quite exciting at that moment to hear the end of the speech of the president here in Nairobi, which was the starting moment to do that and repeat that at the county level. And I have great memories of that. I will be here on the 17th of May. I'm nearly at the end of my mandate, so I have a lot of goodbye things to do, which is blocking sometimes also to go to, for instance, Kilifi. But at the same time, Nairobi is the grand finals, and I love to see that. So we have, as the Netherlands in football terms, some experience with finals. Also bitter consequences, but we lost 3 of the World Cup finals. So that is something that is still very much on my mind. And I'm, but now to go to the finals here, and not really, it's not really important for me then to see who is going to win, yes, but just the enjoyment of the winner, and also how the loser is going to respect it.
Yeah.
That is, I think, what is football and sport is all about. And it's really great to look forward to that. So the 17th of May, you can count on me.
Wonderful. That's Ambassador Brewer. Just before I bring in Ambassador Tapiola, Finland is, I was just looking at the statistics, Your Excellency, some great statistics, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're the most active, one of the most active countries in the world.
Yeah.
In
terms of, yes,
in terms of activities. Yeah. Because my director will play that clip for one of your female national players just before this. And the European Commission in 2010 held a survey and said that Finland tops the podium in physical activity. I can see that with you. I don't say I have very telepathic eyes. And also, I remember also you hosted, 1952, you hosted one of the Summer Olympics. Yes, but just before you come in, of course, to share about this tournament and how you really come in as Finland, we managed to talk to one of the top female players in Finland. And she had a very special message for the players, the boys and girls who were participating in the Europe Day Kenya football tournament. You can imagine they spoke directly to the girls and boys in Marsabit, in Homa Bay, in Kilifi, in Nairobi, and nationally. Let's listen in to her.
Yeah. My name is Natalia Kuika, and I play for the national team of Finland. Congratulations to all girls and boys taking part in the Europe Day Kenya football tournament. For me, football has been a great way to see the world and to meet new people. So, good luck everyone, and enjoy getting to know each other.
Ambassador Tapiola, thank you really for sharing that. Share something about her and also how we ended up for her really to talk to our girls and boys.
Well, I think I'd really like to underline this girls and boys, because, I mean, you mentioned that Finland is one of the most active countries physically in the world, but we also, for the 7th year in a row, have been sort of found to be the happiest country in the world.
Exactly.
Ooh.
And that happiness actually is not sort of exuberant joy. If you go in November to Finland, you won't see many smiling faces. I mean, it's the weather will be dark and so on and so forth. But what you do see is a very content nation.
Sure.
And I think happiness and contentment in the way that things work, things are predictable, and girls and boys are really enjoying gender equality. I'll give you an example. I'm a Finnish diplomat. We have about 55% of our diplomats are women, 45% are men. About 55% of our ambassadors are women, and 45% are men. I mean that, and that's why it's so important to look at the girls and boys part of this. Now, the second thing here is what brings contentment, and this is what brings me into football. We're not a great football nation. If you talk about hockey, ice hockey, probably more.
Yeah.
But I mean, football is a great game. It's called a beautiful game because it's got clear rules. It's supposed to be played in a gentlemanly fashion. The rules don't change often. They're predictable. And that's what a functioning society is as well. And that's what brings the contentment. People play by the rules and not with the rules. And when I was ambassador to Moldova, we, among the EU HOMs, we did, it was the Football World Championship that year. So we actually started a red card against corruption campaign, which became quite viral and so on. So when you think of football and why football is both good to represent Finland, but especially represent the normative superpower which the European Union is, it's precisely with that beauty of the clarity, predictability of rules which brings happy societies and contentment. And that's the beauty of football.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bro.
Well, that's an interesting story. I would even say to Pekka, please welcome with a team of the Finnish embassy to the diplomatic football tournament that we organize very regularly, which is also women and men together, showing the same spirit as Pekka was now expressing. It is so important.
Yeah.
And football is exactly what he was saying, but it is also teamwork together with craftsmanship,
Precisely.
creativity, discipline, and just hard work. And if you have the combination of those, you can have real success in football. And many teams are showing that over and over again. So in that sense, football is very much a symbol of doing things well in the world. What makes a success of a footballer will also make a success in society at large.
Indeed. And of course, Ambassador Geiger, I was listening to Her Excellency Gladys Wanga, Governor for Homa Bay, and she asked or requested you to speak about what next, the frequency of this tournament. And also, I remember last time we were here, we were discussing about the tickets and how teams will be flying on. Which country has decided to check up a team that is winning? How far are we with that?
We're very far, and I hope that next week, next Saturday, if you invite me again.
You are invited here anytime, Ambassador.
It's my home away from home.
Thank you.
So I will bring with me the Romanian ambassador.
Yes.
So it seems that we have firmed up our plan that the winning team, both the girls and the boys team, will be invited to Romania to the football training camp, the national training camp, for to be trained, but also to learn a little bit about Romania. So I think it will be an 11-day trip, and they will be taken care of and learn more about football. They will have friendly games with national players, and I'm sure they come back completely enthusiastic about a possible football career.
Indeed, that's true. And Ambassador Tapiola, you've actually clearly stipulated, I was just looking at, you said, I was looking at one of your national sports, correct me if I'm wrong, Pesapalo.
Yes, it's
sort
a
of a
Finnish
form
version
of a
of baseball. Yes.
Please educate us. My grandmother might not know what Pesapalo.
No, well, it's basically Finnish baseball. The ball's a bit different. The rules are a little bit different. I'm not very good at ball games myself, so I mean, I'm not going to start giving you a long lecture of it. Yes. But it is a very beautiful game, very close to baseball, but of course better. So
And you play it on ice or on land?
land we do have. We have summers too. It's not just ice.
Tony, you have to ask Martin about ice, because the Netherlands is very big on ice.
We're more in hockey still, I would say, ice hockey.
Yeah, ice hockey is one of the most popular sports that you have in the country. In Finland.
We love beating our neighbors in it, so yeah.
And of course, Ambassador Brewer, just as of course Ambassador Geiger has requested, Netherlands or Holland. I don't know which one you prefer. Holland, Netherlands.
You know, there is a part of the Netherlands which is below sea level, which is the western part of the country. Yeah. So it is behind dunes and dikes. And the word hol, that is hollow in English. So if you have the sea level here, the country goes like this. And so the western part, which is below sea level, we call Holland. But the whole of the country we call the Netherlands. And Netherlands, that means lowlands. So the whole of the country is low. We have hills in the country. We're very proud of them. 130 meters of altitude. Okay. And that's it. So it's a flat country. But I must say that this hollow part of it, yes, that is where the major cities are. That's where a large part of the population lives. Yeah. That's where the big cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, many people will know, they're all located in that western part. Mm-hmm. And if they would not be well protected by the dikes and the dunes, actually that whole area would be flooded and we would all drown. Mm-hmm. So this is for us and for the Netherlands something that's very, very important. The climatic conditions, the sea level, but also the big European rivers flowing into the delta, Netherlands delta. How to manage water? Well, many people will say, Netherlands, something with water. Yes. And then what Henrietta said, in the winter times, when it's cold, when you come at the wrong time in the Netherlands, yes, a bit of November and then a little bit later, yeah, January, February, there could be ice in the rivers and the lakes, and you see people skating. Now, if you talk about the favorite sport in the Netherlands, except for football, because that's the biggest sport, it is about skating. And speed skating is a sport in which the Netherlands excels really. So whether it's on the Olympics Games or the World Championships, always half of the medals go regularly to the Netherlands. Not always, but we are really a very big competitor.
But Martin, you're also very big on biking.
And biking we do, and we have many sports, but if you want to know what stands out, football, that's the biggest sport, and then in the winter games, skating, which is not only, let's say, in the competition, but also long distance skating. So we have a very famous tour of 11 cities in the northern part of where I was born, in the northern part of the Netherlands. Now that happens only once in the 25, 30, 40 years because it needs to really freeze quite a lot. But if that happens, then everybody goes out. It will be broadcasted on the national television, and it is a big celebration. And for the next 20 years, we will discuss nothing else in the Netherlands than that big tour. And the winners of that tour, those are the real heroes of the Netherlands.
Wow. You know, I'm just also looking at, Ambassador Geiger mentioned about how you're big in the Summer Olympics, in the Winter Olympics. I mean, your national teams in all those old sports. I'm looking at field hockey, volleyball, tennis, cycling, ice skating, speed skating, swimming, gymnastics, equestrian, all those particular sports. And just as Ambassador Tapiola mentioned, of course, the country has a certain engraved way of being active in sports. I'm looking at a list of your best footballers who have been there, the likes of Memphis Depay, the former coach of Manchester United, Louis van Gaal. Ruud Gullit, Jimmy Hasselbank, Ronald Koeman, the coach, Dirk Kuyt, Ruud van Nistelrooy, my favorite back in the day when he used to support Manchester United, Robin van Persie, Frank Rijkaard, Ian Robben, Edwin van der Sar, Clarence Seedorf, Max Verstappen in the Formula One, having won Formula One and been named the sports person of the year 2022, 2022 and 2016. How do you manage to be shining? How do you manage to engrave this culture whereby you're good in these sports? Summer,
well, that's very interesting. Yeah, very interesting that you asked that, because it has something to do with the way our sport is organized. First of all, we have a lot of clubs which are organized and which are a little bit the cement blocks in the society. So a lot of social functions are around sporting clubs.
Yes.
And they're organized by people themselves, and they are independent. If you would go in the Netherlands in the weekend, on a Saturday morning or a Sunday afternoon usually, you will see on many sport games going on and people being active. So that's one part of it. The second part of it is that for the top sport, we do have a construction with some major lotteries and government also putting in a little bit of money there in order to build the sport facilities for the top sporters to really train a lot and excel. We also have I was working myself for a year in Ajax Football Club, which is a very big football club in the Netherlands.
Wow.
You
for a year.
About that? Ooh, there you are.
I was doing that as because there are a number of schools, for instance, in Amsterdam, but also in other cities where you have big football clubs that organize specific lessons and schooling possibilities, so that the boys and the girls can do their sports and do the training, etc. So many of those bigger clubs do have an educational department, and that's where I did some work with some footballers also to make sure that they would catch up and do their studies. And so the role of sports, but also in connection to what you do with society and your further career,
yes.
That is something that is quite well organized. And I think that's a little bit at the basis of why in so many sports people have excelled. And yes, your list is impressively long. And if I go a little bit further back into time, I could add a number of them, but let me add just one, because I think it's the biggest of all, and that's Johan Cruyff.
Yes. Johan Cruyff, of course, your most famous footballer. Remember, I know you mentioned you have to mention something about Johan Cruyff, because I'm sure there's a lot to be said about that. And also you mentioned to us, you'll talk to us a bit later on also about Ajax. It's very important that you worked at Ajax, and Ajax has produced some of the biggest stars, some of the coaches of the English Premier League, some of the big of them. But just before you do that, Ambassador Tapiola, you've of course heard of how they normally remember or reward their top. How do you nurture your talent in your country, and how do you maintain that talent in those different sports, and how do you reward that particular talent the Finnish way?
Well, sports already, from the time you're a small kid, through the schooling system, sports is an incredibly big part of your life. And whether you like sports lessons in the cold in winter or not, that's something all of us will go through. And that does give a possibility of course, just having fun and staying healthy, but also it gives a possibility of talent coming up. Sports, hobbies, they say are expensive, but actually very much in our societies, the government support to sports is that big, that it is possible for everybody to excel and come out from there. Of course, then, and here I'm talking about the sort of basic winter sports where we are quite strong with skiing, ski jumping, ice hockey I already mentioned. Then, of course, football is popular, but we haven't really got very, very far on the international field, partially because of the sort of relatively short season. Surprisingly, then, there is one sport where we are very big, and that is something which brings Kenya and Finland close together, and that's rally driving. I don't think that you would find many countries which have had more winners of the safari rally among their citizens as Finland. And I think the safari rallies which have been there at my time have all been won by a Finn, Kalle Rovanperä, but there were others already from the 70s, 80s, and so on. And now, where the Netherlands are strong in Formula One, if you look at you mentioned ice. I remember my father talking about having learned to drive on ice in front of Helsinki, because the ice really got that thick. Global warming now, of course, is affecting all of this, but ice did get very, very thick and still does. But that means that our young people, rally drivers, learn to drive in very tough, difficult conditions. And that's why when you take them to Naivasha, they'll excel there as well. So I'd say that there's a government policy, and there is also great nature, there are great opportunities, but also a climate which changes with seasons and actually builds your resilience as well as sports people, whether it is to do sports sort of traditionally or be behind the steering wheel and do sport.
Indeed, of course. And I had a conversation with your driver, the world rally champion driver, Rovanperä, at the Kenyatta International Convention Center during the last rally. Such a lovely spirit, young man. Yeah,
very young man.
Yes.
Very young man.
Yeah, very well. Good job. Of course, let me bring in Ambassador Geiger. I was listening to that young boy there who was saying, I want to play for Real Madrid. I know he also meant to say Ajax as well. It's just that it was hard for him to mention Ajax, but of course the exchange program you'll share with us that you have with Kenya. But Ambassador Geiger, what you heard from these young boys and girls, and also from the coaches who are very excited really to be this tournament, the kind of exposure you're giving them, Ambassador?
Well, I mean, first there will be a lot of exposure on media.
Yeah.
So, and then we also have physical scouts coming and checking. And I think I mentioned in a previous show, we have, through the Austrian collaboration, we have an Austrian NGO here, Akako, in Homa Bay, and they do permanent training and talent nurturing. Also, the German development program, they have a football program to nurture talent continuously. Of course, ideally, all of that could be done by the government, as we saw in the Netherlands and Finland, but we are not there yet. So we are trying to support and nurture that culture here, because the talent, as Pirkka said, has to come up from a school age, right?
Yeah.
And so the young people, 15 to 18, who come to the tournament, they have high hopes that they will be seen and discovered. And what we tell them now, please, first, what you have to do is get your passport. Get your passport, get your ducks in a row so you can be picked up. Yes. And you have to continue to excel also in other things. Yes. School, finish your school.
Yeah.
Continue. And what Martin said, effort, discipline, that teamwork, that is part of how you get big. So it's not just from one day to the next that you become the star. There's a lot of hard work behind it.
Indeed, that's true, Ambassador Geiger. Maybe Ambassador Brewer, you shared something about Ajax and you passed through it very fast. However, in Kenya, we have connection with your teams in Netherlands, especially Ajax. Will you share with us, of course, what you are doing with Ajax? Because Coach Erik ten Hag is someone, of course, who was fished from that particular club. And also the exchange programs, the cultural and sports program that we have between Kenya and the Netherlands.
Yeah, well, for Ajax, and Ajax is it's my favorite club, so I talk a lot about Ajax. But let me also do justice to other important clubs like Feyenoord and PSV, which are also very well-known clubs, which are at the moment doing much better than Ajax. So let's be frank about that also. But yes, Ajax had this international exposure for quite some time. Of course, in the 70s, it was one of the biggest clubs in the world, and later on in the 90s again. it delivered many good players because there was a lot of investment in the youth teams. So there is already selection of young footballers at the age of 10, 11, sometimes even younger. And then they are being hosted by families in Amsterdam, and those kids can go to training. They get the schooling also. And then there is a very strict selection process going on. And that's, so the talent nurturing is something that is particularly strong with this club. Also Ajax has invested, and now some other teams are also doing that, in teams in other places in the world. So Ajax had for a long time a very close relationship with a club in South Africa. Now they are in Japan investing, also in West Africa. Feyenoord also had it in West Africa. And there they work with teams in a country and give training facilities to attract younger players in those countries to those clubs. And for there, that's then where they look, okay, who are the best talents, and can we bring them later on to Amsterdam? So it's becoming an international network, and it's not only Dutch clubs doing that, but also English clubs are doing that and others. But Ajax has been very active in this field, and a little bit what Henriette was saying, this combination of taking care for the young kids, of a good family life and an education and going to school, and also other forms of development, and that a football club is being a kind of center around which all those activities are being organized. That really helps of building the football clubs, and you see that in many of the bigger clubs in the Netherlands happening. Okay. You see that also for other sports. They also do that. So I was talking about the government giving a little bit of support, but that's a little bit of support. It's usually bigger lotteries where a lot of money is being assembled, and that is then being spent for the purpose of promoting sports, which is not only football, but also the tennis and also the athletics. And and I think that cooperation and that understanding that the sport needs to be organized by the society and in the society, and then government can play a facilitating role in that. Now, isn't that a lesson for how a government should function in general?
Indeed. Ambassador Broa there. Ambassador Tapiola, you'll speak to us about, of course, how you're preparing for the Olympics in the Paris. And yes, of course, you'll speak to us a bit later. I know Ambassador Geiger, I know Germany is also, of course, the Euro 2024s are here as well. You'll speak to us that, of course, after this very short break. If you're joining us, this is Sports Extravaganza. My name is Tony Kolanda, your coach. I have a lot, besides, of course, bringing you some of the best top dignitaries in the country in the form of ambassadors. I also bring you, I come bearing gifts. I told you on this show, you just don't live, watch alone. You watch and win something to take home in the evening. So I have a lot of airtime courtesy of Safaricom, and I want you to answer a very simple question. We're asking you, the Europe Day Kenya Football Tournament heads to which county next? Which county will be hosting the next Europe Day Kenya Football Tournament? Of course, go to our WhatsApp, our SMS, our social media platforms, TV47, Radio 47. Send in as many times as you can. You know the drill. Start with the name Sports Extravaganza, your name, where you're watching the show from. Give me the answer and tell me why you need 500 Kenya shillings worth of airtime. 5 of you are winning in a bit. See you after this very short break.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus niko niwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking,
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
to finishing touches. Witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking,
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
to finishing touches. Witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Welcome back. This is live. This is Sports Extravaganza. My name is Tony Kwalanda. It's nice to have you. We've been here from about 4:30 p.m. We'll be all the way till 7. That's the show. But of course, I have special guests, dignitaries, Her Excellency Ambassador, European Union Ambassador to Kenya, Henrietta Geiger. I also have Ambassador Martin Brewer. That's the Dutch ambassador to Kenya. And also the Finnish ambassador to Kenya, Ambassador Pirkka Tapiola. Thank you for staying with us for the next 20 minutes. We appreciate that you made time from a busy schedule. We, of course, earlier on speaking about how sports in the countries is big. Remember also speaking about the Europe Day Kenya Football Tournament that is currently going on. It's the inaugural event, happened in Marsabit in March, then went to Homa Bay this month, where of course Her Excellency Gladys, as well as Her Excellency Gladys and Her Excellency Geiger were there during that tournament, where Kobala and Ringa have qualified for the grand finale. And of course, Her Excellency Gladys said those two will win the grand finale on the 17th of May. I will be there to watch. Excellency Geiger, who are some of your supporters, some of your sponsors, partners who are with you in this Europe Day Kenya tournament? And I know, first of all, as you look for that, I have airtime worth 4,000 Kenya shillings, and I'm rewarding 5 of you 500 Kenya shillings for answering a very simple question. And the question of the day, we're asking you which county will be hosting the next Europe Day Kenya Football Tournament. Ambassador, your supporters and partners in this.
Yeah, well, our key supporters are, of course, our member states, first and foremost. But we have done a lot of outreach to companies here in Kenya. Yes. So we have a long list and it's still growing. So I just read them down. BCD, Brussels Airlines, we talked about it last weekend. Cape Media, of course, Decathlon, ECO, EDF, EIB, Elgon Kenya, Kempinski Kenya Flower Council, Liquid Telecom, NCBA, Parapet, Park Inn Hotel, Rubis, Safaricom, Sankara, Taka Taka Solutions, Tribe Hotel, Trademark. And probably next week I have some more to add to the list. We are so grateful because without them, we couldn't do it.
True. And of course, next time when you come with the excellencies, also come with your sponsors. They'll be happy to be with Cape Media because we like having new friends.
Oh, should I bring sponsors? Oh, they would be very happy.
Thank you. Please do. It gives value to your event, of course, so they can make.
How big is your studio?
As you can see, we have more room.
Let's have a party.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. But we'll bring in Ambassador Tapiola. How do you reward athletes in your country so you can keep them motivated? And of course, how do you remember those who've been there in the past? What kind of
I mean, we do have, of course, incentives, and as I said that all along, we have a very similar system actually as the Dutch, in that the national lottery is used very much for sports promotion and so on and so forth. But I do have to say that, like I suppose everywhere in the world, when you do win and you win big, so then the cities and governments and so on do tend to give you something and do tend to mark that. I mean, in a certain way, sponsors, of course, do that. But I think what is important is that through the lotteries and the government, you get stipends in order to keep your sort of practice, to keep practicing, keep training, keep getting yourself up there. Of course, we all have sports legends. And I was just, during the break, sort of joking around with you a little bit that we used to have some big runners. I mean, 100 years ago, I mean, here we're talking about 100 years ago. So in the Olympics, we had a very, very prolific Finnish gold medalist, and you will find his statues around the country still and so on. And who sort of, I think that was quite shortly after our independence. Yes. So winning an Olympic gold became sort of part of building the national narrative. Then again, in the 70s, we had well-known runners. Well, now I think we're outrun by Kenyans and many people where, I mean, you are a very prolific country in this regard. You do see that our former sports people, sports heroes, some have gone to business. Quite a few have gone to politics, actually. So, yes. I mean, they tend to pop up and be rewarded by the electorate then still later on, and have been very prolific in developing sports policies to support sports and so on and so forth. So, but I think that I go again back to, I think, a bit of what Martin said as well. In that winning is great. Winning is important. Participating and playing is even more important, and playing by those rules is more important. So I'd say that every Finn I know, almost every Finn I know, plays some kind of sport, is active, I mean, does something to be active and be be out there.
Yep.
And it's not always to win. It's simply just to enjoy, be part of it, and also, very importantly, look after your own health, because that's what sport is to a large extent as well. But here as well in Kenya, I mean, empowerment, there's one thing I wanted to mention already earlier. We were with my colleague at sort of giving awards at a football tournament for the underprivileged, taking place in not one of the better neighborhoods of Nairobi, let's put it that way, in January. And it was really touching to see a Kenyan NGO, together with World Vision, sort of supporting underprivileged kids to play football and get education and keep them in school through this as well. So I think rather than looking at the heroes, I'd put that every kid playing sports is a hero, because that kid is doing something which is productive, which is good, and very often keeps them out of harm's way, whether it's in Finland or Kenya.
Indeed. Ambassador Brewer, I'm just looking at statistics from what Ambassador Tapiola was mentioning. I'm looking at one of your field hockey, about estimated 250,000 are in it actively, whether professionally or amateurs. Volleyball, about 125,000. Tennis, about 570,000 players, enthusiasts. Cycling, I can go on and on. One, of course, of your greatest athletes who won the Tour de France in 1980. Ice skating, 4 million. Speed skating, 2 million. How do you maintain this culture in your country?
Yeah, well, again, the driving force behind all this sports activity is what is happening in society and how they organize themselves, and they mobilize the kids, bring them together. You get your friends at the sports club, you go there every weekend. Parents are organized to do to organize the trips to the sport club, and that's where it all starts. That's where it all starts. And then if you go further and you develop a certain sport activities, there are usually training centers. We have, Netherlands is a country of small size, but we have around, 12 provinces. And in each of those provinces you would have a centralized sporting facility. So if you are more talented, you would go there and you would be helped to develop your skills further. You can be picked up by individual clubs sometimes. So all of that is being done. We have, of course, our annual sportsmen, sportswomen, sports club election. During that annual event also we do a lifetime award for the real heroes of sport. And they are being put right in the spotlight. And usually those are sporters that have won major tournaments, including the Olympic gold medals, but then also continue to work in the sport, to promote also the younger again and the new generations to pick up. So those lifetime awards are also a way of promoting that. And yes, what Pirkko also said, winning is very important, and sometimes that does not need to be the final. Let me go back a little bit in history. The first time that we had, in connection to football, we had a very, very big game was in 1974 at the World Cup finals. That was where the Dutch football really had its breakthrough to the international scene. We lost the final against Germany.
Yes.
You know, football is a little game in which at the end of 90 minutes, Germany wins.
Yep.
So that happened also to us a couple of times. But a couple of years later, what is very important is that in that game, we lost it, but the way of playing was really praised in the international community, and it was a moment that was of huge importance for the Netherlands, which had to do with old times, which had to do with World War, etc. Everything of it. But the sentiments that came out there were not the sentiments of we beat them or whatever. Was now we are at the level that we can shake hands in the field, and that rivalry that had always a little bit of a nasty element. Through sports, it became a very sportsmanlike rivalry. And that happened in different sports. But football played a major role there in that breakthrough. But you're right, there's so many sports. If I just look at what's going to happen in the Olympics in Paris this year, you would probably not know, but I would expect most medals to be won by rowing, which is a sport in which the Netherlands really excels at the moment, or by cycling on the track. Those are sporting activities in which really a lot of gold medals are being won every time, and those are the smallest sports. But the people who are in those teams, they carry that forward for a long time. We have a hockey player who played in the national squad, who is here in Parklands, in Nairobi, organizing hockey clubs. He brings in trainers from the Netherlands. He gets shirts, shoes, sticks from sporting clubs in the Netherlands because of his old history. He's working here now, and he just every Saturday he is there and to bring those people, those kids together. Are they going to be real good hockey players of Kenya? You never know, maybe. But what is happening is they will have a good meal during the training. They will have drinks. They will have fun together. They will make friends. And not only friends in that direct environment, but also coming from other areas in Nairobi and other places. That is what the sport is about. And I really value that a lot. And all those people who are playing a role in that and catalyzing their all those sporting activities, they are the real heroes. And they make sure that also in the future generations there will be a lot of successes for sport, I'm sure.
Indeed. Well done. Thank you for really pointing out that hockey bit, and of course for the support that comes from Netherlands. Ambassador Geiger, Europe Day is very significant for the European Union, and you celebrating as European Union in Kenya with a football tournament, we are very honored. I can speak on behalf of the girls and boys. We are very honored for you to really share with us that celebration. How significant is it, of course, as we wind up, and of course welcome and usher the people of Kilifi to the next big Europe Day Kenya football tournament that will be happening, should be happening in May.
Yeah. First, I want to pick up on something that Martin was talking about when Germany and the Netherlands competed on the pitch.
Yeah.
So this is actually the whole idea of the European Union.
Yeah.
We compete in a peaceful and friendly way, sometimes through sports, sometimes at the conference table when we decide our joint policies, and we all have different views and different interests, but in some way we are always coming together and find a good solution. Mm-hmm. And the peace element in sports cannot be underestimated in international sports. So the Olympics now, at a time when international tensions are so high, can play such a fundamental role in building peace, people-to-people contact, understanding between the nations. I think the international sports has a huge role as a peacemaker, and especially when teams compete against each other, which were at each other's throats as nations, as Netherlands and Germany or other countries have been. France, Germany, we had the 2 ambassadors here a few weeks ago. We are so proud as European Union to have overcome these sort of animosities and conflicts and have built peace. And the idea of the Europe tournament, the European football tournament, is also that we want to share this value of peace building through sports and to empowerment of young people. This is what we want to celebrate. And we want to celebrate this fundamental value of the European Union together with young people of Kenya, and we hope that Kenya is continuing that path of empowerment.
Indeed, well said, Ambassador Geiger, about the importance of the Europe Day Kenya football in Kenya. We really appreciate that you actually brought this closer home. I get a lot of messages from our people on the ground that indeed, Tony, you're doing a good job, and thank you, of course, the European Union. I could hear the congratulations from the players themselves, from the clip that we had earlier about how excited they were that you gave them an opportunity to definitely play football. If you're joining us, this is Sports Extravaganza here live on TV 47. Also remember, we have our Radio 47 also live at the moment. I am together with the ambassador, Dutch ambassador to Kenya, His Excellency Martin Brewer. I'm also, of course, together here with the Finnish ambassador to Kenya, His Excellency Pirkka Tapiola, and of course, as well as our very good friend, Her Excellency European Union ambassador to Kenya, Henriette Geiger. We're getting into our session whereby they need to sign our balls. I'll be getting my pen to sign this. Of course, my director will be able to give me that pen where they're going to sign that football. But if you're joining us, this is live. Let me just get in to see if I know your comments are here in the house thick and fast, just to read a few of them so that ambassadors can be sure that they're being watched. Yes, you're being watched. This, of course, is also live on our social media platforms. We are live on www.tv47.digital. We are live there. Kilifi will host the next event. That's a comment from one of you. This says May 2024, Kilifi will host the Europe Day Kenya tournament next. You didn't say your name, but please share your name as well. You need to know who you are. On May 4th at Malindi Secondary School. Oh, they already even know where the tournament will be. All right. I even didn't know myself. Well done about the next games will be played in, this is one of you, this is LV says in Nairobi County. Of course, thank you for your feedback. Sports Extravaganza. Thomas Hamisi says from Ruaraka, the next games will be in Kilifi. That's, of course, your comment. Bokilo Alejandro Mendoza. I hope those are your real names. Says the European Football Tournament, of course, will be held in Kilifi. This one says Homa Bay, Nairobi County. The thousands of feedback that are coming through. Sports Extravaganza from Likuyani. Likuyani is in the Western Kenya. One of them says the answer is Nairobi. The next tournament of the Europe Day Kenya Football Tournament, I can give you a hint before the show goes on. You'll be held in the coast, so you know what answer you need to give. Hi, Sports Example. For today's question, Nairobi will host the next Europe Day tournament. This is Bridget. Bridget, you're getting it wrong. Okay, but it's all right. I've given you a hint. Feedback coming through from this. She'll be in Kitale. Thank you very much. Mzalendo watching from Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County. That's in Western Kenya. The comments have come in that thick and fast. Thank you very much. Remember, a question asking you, where will the next Europe Day Kenya football tournament be held? This is the time, of course, where we need to sign our balls. I'll be given my, Moses, you'll be giving me my felt pen, or is it that marker? Okay, and then we'll be signing later on. That's what my director is saying. However, we need to sign these balls. Can I take the balls, Nick, right now? Of course, let me take these balls. They need to be signed. One of the balls had been signed by Her Excellency Governor for Homa Bay. That is Gladys Wanga. And then together with European Union Ambassador to Kenya, Henriette Geiger, already have signed one of these balls. So now all of them will sign again on this one ball, and then Ambassador Tapiola and Ambassador Brewer will sign on this that had not been signed. These balls are yours to win, and amongst, and also together with the airtime that Safaricom has graciously given to you for me to facilitate so they can get it, which you will get it. Don't worry, we always do that. However, at this moment, I think we should be coming back in a bit for us to sign these balls. Don't go away, we'll be coming back shortly with a felt pen for us to sign these particular balls so that you can have them in our next show. So remember, if you win on this show, you need to come here next Saturday to pick up your prize in the afternoon. This signed up merchandise together with your airtime, together with a host of other gifts, of course, we have set out for you surprisingly. So thank you